I'm gonna try to make this a one-cut video. If you see me looking off to the side or anything like that, I have my laptop over here full of notes, and if you see me just reach over here, it's just because I've got all of my notes right here, so I don't go off on any tangents or lose where I'm at. So, my name is Mike, and around 8 or 9 years ago, I was in the band Two Shadows up until 6 years ago. Because after what I can only describe as mental, financial, and emotional abuse, I had to step away. And this was all at the hands of Trist Germain. Now, I'm not making this video to garner sympathy. I'm not trying to garner clout, nor am I asking anyone to go bash this person or harass anybody or harass anybody's family. That is not my goal. And I am going to please tell everybody, please do not do that. Do not go and bash anybody. Do not go and harass or bully anybody. That is not the point. We, as a society, should be above that. However, what I am going to say is the reason I'm making this video is because I have seen public statements. I've seen the videos. I have seen all of these things. And I believe people deserve to know the truth of who they are supporting. If you continue to support this person, that is fine. I'm not going to be angry at anybody for supporting Trist or whatever endeavors that he does. That's not up for me to decide. It's not up for me to decide who people should or should not support. However, I do believe you deserve to know the full story. So first and foremost, Trist had no hand in naming Two Shadows. That credit goes to Dana Kempf, the original singer of Two Shadows, who sang on Transference, sang on A False Awakening, and came up with the name Two Shadows, and wrote a lot of those songs too. So Dana derived the name from Carl Jung, who is a famous philosopher, and I don't know the whole lore of it or anything like that. I would have to ask Dana what that lore is. And but yeah, none of it is Trist. Before, there was a band called Sick Addiction that Dana and Trist were in together, and Dana did not want Two Shadows to become a band. He wanted it to be a solo project, but Trist essentially pressured him into allowing the band to use the name Two Shadows. And if you don't believe me, go look up the song 1975 by Two Shadows. I will even link it down below. If you don't believe me, go look at that video. And look at the time in which it was posted. Far before Trist had even met Dana. Back in the early days, we were living in a van. And I think we lived in that van from around, I want to say the end of August to December. I was living in that van. Now, everyone else had left. I didn't, because I believed in the vision, I believed in the music, I believed in what we were doing, and I believed that it could go somewhere. And Trist, who swore up and down, left and right, swore to, whatever god he may worship, that he was going to tough through it as well. He was going to stick with me through it. I lived in that van pretty much completely by myself. It was freezing cold. It was utterly terrifying. And it was very, very difficult. I was homeless from end of August to, I want to say, middle of December. Until I got an apartment. Eventually, everyone left, and eventually Glenn joined the band. And me and Glenn found a really, really nice basement suite that we were going to live in together. Shortly after this had happened, Trist and his girlfriend had broken up. He had nowhere to go. He was going to live in the van, and I insisted, you're not going to do that. You're going to crash on our couch. I had a pull-out couch that I had brought. My family was very gracious to give me. I let him live on my couch in my house. And that is when everything went wrong. Before this, me and Glenn were living together very harmoniously, very well together. It was fantastic. And the minute that Trist moved into this house with us, that is when everything went completely downhill. He began to alienate me. He began to have conversations behind my back about me. There were conversations had about the direction that I was not included in. There were recording sessions that I was not included in that I only found out about because someone had sent me an email or sent the band an email, and I had seen it about recording sessions that I had nothing to do with. All completely done behind my back. And at one point, I was ambushed by Trist and had my character, my values, and everything about me as a human being completely ripped to shreds. Backed into a corner completely, and essentially everything about me was completely ripped to shreds. During this time, I had lost not only my grandmother, but I had also lost a very, very close friend. And now this person who is supposed to be my best friend, instead of being there for me, instead of asking me if I was doing okay, cornered me and ripped my character and ripped who I was as a human being. That's not miscommunication. That is absolute fucking bullying. And you cannot call it anything less than that. That was bullying. And that's exactly what I went through. I invested thousands of dollars that I did not have. Gave my blood, my sweat, my tears, my everything I had poured into this band. And on the day of a show, I did not wake up to a bunch of stoked band members excited to play another show. I woke up to a completely empty basement suite and a message from Trist asking me to sit out this show because they wanted to sit down and talk. I was discarded with no closure and with no dignity, as if the last 3 years of my dedication, of my blood, sweat, and tears meant nothing. And I'll tell you guys something right now, it didn't mean anything to him. He had more important people feeding into his ego. Now he could completely discard me. That is betrayal to the ultimate extent. When I went to go pick up my stuff, no one was there to help me move my stuff. I had to get my father to help me. And conveniently, my wireless system that I was letting Trist use was still in his rig. It was still in Trist's rig because he wanted to keep it. And he was not going to pay me for it, but he wanted to keep it. And also, what was missing, and is still missing to this day, is the camera that my mother had let me use to help film content for the band. I have not seen that camera. But conveniently, after that, Trist was suddenly super into photography. You guys can put the puzzle pieces together yourself. I wonder what camera you were using. So now for the grand finale. Stepping away, reclaiming my peace, and a bunch of other meaningless words that only mean you've watched a few too many podcasts. In November of 2024, and I am under good authority to say this, in November of 2024, after coming home from a very successful North American-wide tour, Trist took all of Glenn's money, took all of their equipment that both him and Glenn had sunk into this band, and left. And tried to bully and strong-arm Glenn out of the band. For what reason, I cannot wholeheartedly say. Glenn was left with nothing. He was stranded. He had no way to pay his rent, and only by the grace of his wonderful girlfriend Was he was he not homeless? That was the only reason he was not homeless, was because he was thankfully able to go and stay with his girlfriend, who is a wonderful, great person whom I hope dearly is watching this. Let me tell you something about Glenn. Glenn is one of, if not the only person that I still keep in consistent contact with from that point in my life, and there is a reason for that. Because after all this stuff had happened, he was the only person that reached out and apologized for how things went down without giving a bullshit excuse or any sort of excuses. He was the only one who admitted how messed up it was, that all that had gone down the way it did. I'm very blessed to call Glenn my friend, call him my brother, whatever you want, whatever sort of verbiage you want to use. Very, very thankful that I can still call Glenn my friend. Dana as well, I still keep up with Dana. I actually had a very, very awesome, very long phone call with him a few weeks back, and I'm still very, very thankful to call Dana my friend. And no matter what anybody has to say about him from that time, Dana, if you're watching, you were a brother to me, and you still are to this day. I still have massive trauma from this. I have issues trusting people. I have not picked up an instrument very seriously in the 6 years that this has happened. I've not been able to create music in the 6 years that this has happened. Anytime I have made the attempt to open up that creative part of me again, I'm not able to follow through. And it has caused a lot of grief in my life. Like I said, this is trauma because it was abuse. I've seen the videos, I've seen the public statements, and to me, the most baffling part of it all is I do not know how anybody can say so many words while simultaneously saying absolutely nothing. I'm an advocate for mental health. I have suffered from depression, massive anxiety, trauma, not just from this, but from my past. Reclaiming your peace and moving on, that does not entail stealing, abusing people, and stepping on people to get what you want. Acknowledging your mistakes and taking accountability is how you reclaim your peace. Not by stealing $20,000 plus. And all those donations, by the way, that you two Shadows fans are making, they're all going to Trist. None of it's gone to Glenn. And it's paying for his Vegas trip, actually. All of his Vegas trips. So that's just a little tidbit for anybody who's still donating money, hoping that some of it would go to Glenn. None of it does. I've kept my mouth shut on this subject for 6 years. 6 years, you guys. None of this is defamatory. None of this is slander. This is all the truth. And if people doubt me, I have the receipts to back it up. And this is the condensed version, by the way. This is the I didn't even get into the real stories and the nitty gritty. And this is not me bashing Two Shadows either. If Glenn wants to continue Two Shadows, I will fully support that 100%, because the musicians that he is teaming up with are people that I know very dearly, who are some of the most talented, authentic people that I've ever met. No amount of money will make this any less true. No threats, no legal jargon will make any of this any less true. With God as my witness, I say that. I don't really know how to end this, so I'm just going to end it by saying, once again, do not go harass anybody. Do not go bully anyone. Do not go slandering anybody's pages or anything like that. That is not what I'm here for. I'm simply here to speak the truth and let people know who they're supporting. My name is Mike Horvath, and 6 years ago, I was stabbed in the back by Tris Germain. And I pray that it doesn't happen to anyone ever again. Thank you.